Hey guys, thanks for checking in today. We're just going to jump straight into this one. Now, I've already gone ahead and done a little bit of work. I've pulled out obviously all my old stones and stuff like that as my edging, and I've added in some more topsoil. And I've also gone ahead and I've dug just a small little trench, and then I've added in some rock as a base, tamped it down, leveled it all off. Now we're just going to go ahead and add your 4x4s in. Now these are just going to be our baseboards. Make sure one is longer than the other so that way later on we can stagger our joints. But yeah, we're just going to go ahead and lay our 4x4s in. Double check that the 4x4s are level, nothing shifted, nothing moved, because this is obviously your starting point. If you start off unlevel, the whole thing is going to be unlevel and out of whack. So we're just going to start off, make sure it's all good. Then we're going to cut our last board to final length. Now this is a little trick you can use if you don't have a miter saw or anything outside. Is just use your your framing square, and then we're just going to hold it up tight and then run your circular saw alongside the framing square. Just make sure everything's all good lengthwise. And then we're just going to go add some construction adhesive. Now you're just going to want to add this in a bunch of little blobs all over the place. Don't actually just make a line. This stuff actually flattens out and then it'll expand into the pores of the wood and grab onto it that way afterwards. Also make sure you pull the two 4x4s apart and you add a little bit of glue into the end joints. That way they'll actually bond to each other. When you go and put the 4x4 on top of the one before, place it on there and then work it back and forth. This will kind of flatten out the glue, make sure it's got a really good contact patch all over the place. Then from there, we're just going to add some 5 or 6 inch screws, whatever you have on hand or have access to, and just bury them down in there. Now you only need a couple of these. These aren't really meant to be overall crazy structural. These are meant to basically act as a mechanical anchor until the glue dries. The glue is really going to do a whole lot of anchoring force on this one. Same thing as before. Add a whole bunch of glue to the end joint, and then all the way down the board, place the next 4x4 in there, press it against the end one, make sure there's good contact all over the place. I realize now I should have taken that sticker off first. That would have helped. But anyway, yeah, go ahead, make sure you've got some good contact, and then again, same thing, run some screws down the whole length of the board just to, like I said, act as a mechanical anchor. Now we're just going to move on to the end. So this guy is really simple. I've already got the one board cut to length. Now I'm just going to double check my measurement. Again, I'm using 4x4, so it should only be 3.5 inches longer, but just double check if you're not sure. Go ahead, cut that guy to length, and then we're going to, same thing as before, add a whole bunch of glue to the ends and to the two 4x4s laying on top of each other. And then you'll also notice that I've got the 4x4 joints in the corner staggered. That's just going to add a lot more structural rigidity to the corner itself. So one board is longer than the other. One board fits on top, one board fits in the inside on the bottom. From there, same thing, like I said, just glue and screw those together. Then we're just going to add 2 extra screws, one going from the end of each board into the 4x4 behind it. You'll see here in a second. There, so this is just basically going to help pull the corner into the main frame itself. Now this part's fairly simple. There is not a whole lot to this one. It's only 7-inch pieces of 2x4 that I'm cutting off, and these are not structural whatsoever. These are just cosmetic to give it a little bit of a 3D look, give it some depth. These are just going to go on the face of the whole frame just to, like I said, design it up a little bit. All I'm doing is placing one at each end, and then I'm going to find dead center, put one in the center, and then I just literally keep finding the center over and over and over again between my halves, I guess, and then my quarters. And then, like I said, these are literally just a 2x4 for cosmetics. So it's just 2 screws. Go ahead and just screw all those on. On the corner, I'm putting my outside corner on first, and then I'm overlapping the front of it with my front block and kind of drilling my screws in a little bit of an angle. That's just so when you're looking at the house and in the garden bed from the street, you see the entire front block. Now right here, if your block doesn't suck in to the frame a little bit, go ahead, back your screw all the way out after you put it in, and then drive it back in again. That'll suck your block up tight. By the end of it though, you should have something like this. Corner joints are staggered, end joints are staggered in the center. So now we're just gonna go ahead and work on the top cap. So this is just 5/4 deck boards. So 5/4 by 6. Get the longest run that you can. So the longest board that you can. Obviously, the less seams you have, the better. I have access to a smaller truck and a shorter bed, so I couldn't get really long boards. I had to end up going with 8-foot boards, so I needed 2 seams on top. But go ahead and make your seams at a 45-degree angle. That'll help hide them visually. On the end there, I'm just going to take, mark, cut it just a little bit long, and I'm going to use my square again at a 45-degree angle and cut my corner. Again, this is one of those things where you want to sneak up on the corner, mark it again the second time when you're not trying to hold on to an 8-foot board, and just make a second cut. That extra minute or 2 will just save you a whole lot of hassle. Again, you can always take more off, but you can't put more wood back on. So once you cut it too short, it's garbage. So just sneak up on that end joint, make sure everything's all good. Now use the cutoff piece as the end over there. We're going to just basically go put the corner of it up to the house and then just mark it at our exact length and then just cut the end of it off. That way you don't have to try fighting with all your miter joints and everything. So yeah, just basically turn the board around, put the point of it to the house, cut it, and then turn it back around, double check your fitment. If anything needs to be adjusted, now's the time to do it. So make some adjustments, adjust your cut, whatever you need to. Then go back, same thing as before, a whole bunch of globs of construction adhesive, place it down, and just a few screws on top of this, guys, again, is all we're going to need. So I'm just marking it flush with the back of side of the 4x4 and just drive a few screws in through the top. Again, the screws are just there as a mechanical anchor until the glue dries for the most part. So one thing I like with this design too is you're going to have just a little bit of overhang over the 4x4, so it ends up actually looking like a really nice frame cap. And then just like the other joint, if you've got any where you've had to extend the length of a run and you've got multiple 45-degree angles like that, make sure you add a whole bunch of glue. That'll end up holding those miter joints together so they don't come apart over time. And then add a screw to your miter joint as well if you want. That'll just help hold that guy quite a bit tighter. Same thing on your corner, add glue to the joint, add glue to the top of the 4x4, glue and screw. Simple as that.
All right, now I just want to get one thing clear and straight away right now. This is not a retaining wall by any stretch of the imagination. It is not designed to hold a whole lot of force pushing back on it. So if you've got a higher area or something like that, you need to reinforce this. Now, I know for the type of dirt that I have around here and for how low this is, there's not a whole lot of pressure pushing forward. But if you have even just a little bit of pressure pushing forward, what you can do, once you've got your first 4x4 down and just laying on the ground, once it's level and everything, you can take like a 1/4 inch drill bit and a drill and drill a few holes along the 4x4. And then what you can do is take some of these 12-inch spikes and you can just drive these down through the 4x4 into the ground. Now that'll just help give it a little bit more lateral stability so it doesn't push forward as often. That's just if you've got a little bit of pressure. If you've got more pressure than that, like I said, you're going to need to go sort of retaining wall style. Dig out a whole bunch of the dirt beforehand in long troughs, and then recess a 2x4 going laterally against these to the bottom 4x4, and you're going to want to screw that 2x4 into the back side of the 4x4, drill a couple holes into the 2x4, and you're going to take and spike that 2x4 into the ground and then bury that 2x4, and that'll help give it some more anchoring force so it doesn't want to push forward on you. But yeah, like I said, this is not a retaining wall. This is literally just a really nice garden bed edging is all this is. Just want to make that clear.
And there it is. Simple as that. Like I said, not overly difficult, but it's something different than at least I see around here. So I'm really happy with how this turned out. If you guys are, a like and a thumbs up would go a long, long way. If you guys enjoy this, consider subscribing as well, and I'll see you guys in the next one.